Imagine being one of the most celebrated boxers of your era. Olympic gold medalist, multiple-time world champion, crossover superstar, a man who transcended boxing to become a household name. Yet behind all the lights, the glamour, and the millions of fans, there was a storm raging that very few ever saw. This is the shocking truth about Oscar de la Hoya, a story of triumph, struggle, redemption, and pain that proves fame and fortune do not shield anyone from life's harshest battles. If you think you know Oscar's journey, stay tuned, because what really happened will change the way you see him forever. Oscar de la Hoya's rise to fame was meteoric. Born in East Los Angeles to a working-class Mexican-American family, his story seemed like something out of a Hollywood script. His mother pushed him into boxing at a young age, and his natural talent quickly became undeniable. After winning Olympic gold in 1992, he was dubbed the Golden Boy, a nickname that stuck throughout his career. He became the face of boxing in the 1990s and 2000s, drawing crowds and pay-per-view numbers like no other. Oscar wasn't just a fighter. He was a superstar. Fans loved his charisma, good looks, and boy-next-door image. Inside the ring, he fought some of the greatest names in boxing history: Julio Cesar Chavez, Felix Trinidad, Shane Mosley, Bernard Hopkins, Floyd Mayweather, and Manny Pacquiao. He was always willing to face the best, and for that, he earned respect even in defeat. But as Oscar's success grew, so did the pressure, and the cracks in his seemingly perfect life began to show. Behind closed doors, he battled inner demons. He later admitted to struggling with alcohol and substance abuse, something that nearly destroyed him. The public saw the polished superstar in the ring, but Oscar himself has said that outside of it, he often felt lost and broken. Fame brought money, power, and influence, but it also brought temptation and loneliness. His addiction struggles became headline news, forcing him to step away from the sport and confront the reality of his situation. Another challenge was his personal life. While fans saw a glamorous figure, Oscar's relationships were often turbulent. Lawsuits, controversies, and public scandals painted a far different picture than the golden boy image he once carried. He has since been open about these struggles, admitting that he made mistakes and that his lifestyle choices hurt both himself and those around him. These confessions shocked fans who had idolized him for years, but they also revealed something deeper: that Oscar de la Hoya was not invincible. He was human, fragile, and vulnerable like anyone else. When his boxing career ended in 2008 after a devastating loss to Manny Pacquiao, Oscar was left with an identity crisis. For decades, he had been the Golden Boy, the man who carried the sport on his shoulders. But now, the question was, who was he without boxing? Retirement was far from easy. He spiraled into deeper struggles with addiction and depression, admitting later that he didn't know how to live without the structure and discipline of being a fighter. For many athletes, the spotlight fades quickly, and the silence can be deafening. For Oscar, it was almost unbearable. Yet, out of that darkness, Oscar found a new purpose. He reinvented himself as a promoter, founding Golden Boy Promotions, which became one of the most influential promotional companies in boxing. He helped shape the careers of fighters like Canelo Alvarez, bringing new life to the sport and proving he still had a major role to play in boxing. However, even with his business success, his personal battles continued. He has been in and out of rehabilitation programs, openly acknowledging that staying sober is a daily fight. This honesty has made him more relatable, showing that even the most glamorous figures have battles that no one else sees. Oscar's journey is also marked by resilience. Time and again, He's been knocked down, whether in the ring, in business, or in life. But he keeps getting back up. He has spoken openly about the importance of mental health, admitting that he once hid behind his fame to mask his suffering. Today, he encourages others to confront their struggles head-on, to seek help, and to know that vulnerability is not weakness, but strength. His openness has inspired many who face similar demons. Now at 52, Oscar de la Hoya is no longer the flawless golden boy the world once believed him to be. That polished, picture-perfect image of the smiling Olympic champion, draped in gold, has been replaced by something far more real, and in many ways, far more powerful. He is not a man without scars. He is a man who has survived. He has endured battles outside the ring that broke him down to his very core, and yet he continues to stand. He continues to fight. And perhaps the most remarkable thing is not what he achieved with his fists, but how he has learned to keep moving forward in the face of struggles that would have crushed most people. His story is no longer about perfection. It's about resilience, about learning from failure, and about clawing his way back when everything seemed lost. The shocking truth about Oscar de la Hoya is that his life has been defined as much by pain as it has by glory. He was adored by millions across the world. The kind of athlete who became bigger than boxing, who carried not just his own dreams, but also the hopes of his community, of Mexican Americans who saw in him a symbol of pride. He was celebrated for his victories over legends, for his willingness to take on any opponent, and for the grace with which he carried himself in the spotlight. But behind the cameras and the roar of the crowds, Oscar was fighting demons that few could have imagined. He lived through scandals that threatened to destroy his reputation, personal heartbreaks that left him questioning who he really was, and moments of near self-destruction where addiction almost consumed him completely. And yet, through every setback, every fall from grace, Oscar showed something extraordinary, an unbreakable will to rise again. Time and again, when the world thought he was finished, he found a way to rebuild himself. That resilience, that refusal to give up even when the world was watching him stumble, has come to define him just as much as his iconic left hook. His journey is not just about boxing anymore. It's about survival, about confronting the darkest parts of himself, and about emerging on the other side battered, yes, but unbroken. At 52, he speaks more openly than ever about his struggles, about addiction, depression, and the price of fame that nobody warns you about. He admits the mistakes he made, the people he hurt, and the battles he fought when the cameras were off. But in those admissions, there is also freedom. By exposing his truth, De La Hoya has transformed from an untouchable icon into something far more relatable. A man who has lived, who has stumbled, but who has also grown stronger with age. His story reminds us that behind every champion's smile, behind every highlight reel, there is a human being, a person with flaws, insecurities, and private battles that no one in the arena can see. Oscar de la Hoya is living proof that greatness is not about never falling, but about always finding the strength to rise when you do. He has shown that vulnerability is not weakness, but another form of courage. That admitting your struggles, your addictions, your regrets is sometimes harder than stepping into the ring with a world champion. So the next time you hear the name Oscar de la Hoya, don't just picture the golden boy who shined under the lights of Las Vegas, who raised belts over his head while the crowd screamed his name. Remember the man who stumbled, the man who hurt, the man who nearly lost everything, but who refused to quit. Because his real legacy isn't just in the titles he won or the millions of pay-per-view buys he generated. His real legacy is in his humanity, in his survival, in his ability to keep going when everything inside him wanted to stop. That's the untold story of Oscar de la Hoya. Not just the champion, not just the golden boy, but the man, flawed, imperfect, scarred, but stronger because of it all. And it's a story you won't believe unless you see it for yourself.